Following a catastrophic nuclear disaster, all newborns are plagued with severe birth defects that require immediate amputation. Sift is a sci-fi fantasy graphic novel that takes place hundreds of years later, following the story of a group of unfulfilled young adults who form an unlikely alliance on their way to uncover the secrets of their irradiated society.
The wasteland is the region from which the nuclear disaster originated. The closer to the explosion site, the more severely the land is impacted by radiation.
Lisant is the capital city, located on the opposite side of the world from the wasteland. Lisant is the healthiest area in the world, being the most mildly impacted by radiation. The city's main export is Noroxan, a pain relief drug developed by a company called Sift.
AthenaD is a small desert village, one of many marginalized communities located in the massive gap between the wasteland and Lisant, called the Drift.
In a small village called AthenaD, a mysterious plague has been sweeping across the population. Tay, the village's primary caretaker, reaches out to a traveling doctor named Silas for help. Tay is a 19-year-old boy from AthenaD who wrestles between helping the people of his village and his own curiosity for the outside world. He is conflicted about his village's religion vitriism, but stays out of filial piety.
Silas is a 32-year-old traveling prosthesis doctor who grew up in the capital city, Lisant. She struggles to draw the line between human and machine when her patients are more prosthesis than flesh. While exploring the surrounding deserts for clues, Tay and Silas come across a boy passed out in a sand dune. They nurse him back to health in the village, and Silas contacts a prosthesis engineer named KarenC for help.
KarenC is a black market prosthesis engineer from Lisant who offers basic aid and guidance to the heroes of our story. However, there might be more to her motivations than it seems.
Several days pass, and AthenaD has a major religious festival, where Tay attends with the boy. At the festival, villagers are worshipping a formation of mysterious crystals, and the boy suddenly has a seizure. The villagers interpret the seizure as a sign from their god, and call the boy Afani, their prophet, which inspires Silas to name the boy Ani. Afani is a 12-year-old boy with a defective mechanical brain prosthesis as a result of illegal experimentation which causes hallucinations, amnesia, and seizures.
Frustrated with the villagers, Tay reaches out to an estranged Iridian named Mira for advice. Mira is a former Iridian who was shunned from the village after deciding to leave the Vitriist faith. She found a new life in the capital city Lisant, where she eventually landed in its wealthy upper class.
Meanwhile, Silas receives a response from KarenC asking her to bring Ani to her workshop in Lisant. Tay decides to go to the city as well to talk to Mira, and the three of them set off on their journey together.
When Silas and Ani reach KarenC's workshop, an examination reveals that Ani's head prosthesis has replaced its brain. Meanwhile, Tay visits Mira in her mansion and explains his struggles with the other Iridians, in addition to his stress over the mysterious illness.
Mira recognizes the villagers' symptoms as Noroxan overdose, and the two search the mansion's library for more information. They discover a book about radiation-borne crystalline substances, in which they find a passage about diradial neuroxanthine.
Recognizing that Noroxan is clearly derived from this substance, Tay and Mira are shocked to read that the substance can only be found in the heart of the irradiated wasteland. Tay brings this information back to Silas and Ani, and they agree to investigate the wasteland together.
KarenC insists on joining so she can maintain Ani's prosthesis, and he gets a helmet as extra protection. They begin their journey to the wasteland.
They travel through the mutated landscape and come across a cave. Entering the tunnel, they discover an underground mine and hear the rumbling from further inside. KarenC stays back with Ani while Silas and Tay venture into the tunnel, where they find a large room with a massive crystal in the center surrounded by Sift mining machinery.
They overhear a conversation between the miners discussing dumping excess crystal waste near AthenaD. They hear a large booming noise coming from Ani's direction and race back.
They see KarenC on the ground hurt, and Ani in the air, levitating and seizing without his helmet. Tay goes to return Ani's helmet, while Silas confronts KarenC, the tunnel crumbling around them.
In the argument, KarenC reveals that she's worked for Sift the whole time and has always hated Silas. Deciding to leave KarenC behind, Tay, Silas, and Ani race out of the collapsing cavern, emerging onto the surface, just in time to watch the sunrise, symbolizing their newfound resolve to make change.
Something that is hard to get across the presentation is character motivations and how they interact with other characters, so we made sure to add more detail in our treatment for our final story.
One of the things that we did was revise the logline to add more context for our setup of our story. We also received a clarifying question during our presentation's Q&A regarding the role of Mira, who had been introduced in our character lineup early in the presentation.
This made us realize that introducing all of our characters right away could lead to confusion for the audience, as it is easy to forget about the key character details by the time they appear in the story. To fix this problem, we ended up switching to introducing the characters as they appeared.